If WWE listened to Charlotte Flair, she would have had a drastically different superstar name. The women's tag team champion recently shared the backstage story behind her in-ring moniker. While we know her as Charlotte Flair now, she did not initially adopt the famous Flair name. The real-life Ashley Elizabeth Flair debuted as Charlotte in WWE NXT. Even before that, she had pitched different stage names. Speaking on Post-Run High, the popular star explained it was the company's decision to name her Charlotte since her father, two-time WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair, was billed from Charlotte, North Carolina. I pitched a few names. I pitched Elizabeth Reed. I loved Miss Elizabeth, and then my little brother's name was Reed. But they were like, no, your dad's from Charlotte. We'll name you Charlotte. In the same interview on Post-Run High, Charlotte was asked about the importance of having a stage name in World Wrestling Entertainment. The current champion admitted she could have gone by Ashley Flair. However, there was an effort to distance herself from her legendary father. I could have gone by Ashley Flair, to be honest. Probably being Rick's kid, it was like, we're gonna give her a stage name, like, not be Ashley Flair. When I first started, I wasn't Charlotte Flair. I was just Charlotte. They didn't attach my last name until 4 or 5 years later. I did not become Charlotte Flair until I grew into it. She explained that at the time, there was significant pressure on her to succeed, being Ric Flair's daughter. Debuting as Charlotte Flair would have only intensified the comparisons. Thankfully, she did succeed in the wrestling business in a big way and eventually embraced her current name. Kartik Aarey is an avid professional wrestling fan who started writing for Sportskeeda in 2018. In January 2021, Aarey also became an editor for the website. He then went on to earn an assistant content manager position for Sportskeeda's WWE section in December 2021. Aarey loves the storytelling aspect of pro wrestling, and in his pastime, he enjoys watching movies and television shows. Charlotte Flair didn't want to be called Charlotte Flair in WWE, and this revelation has completely stunned the wrestling world as fans and insiders alike dive deep into the history of one of the most decorated female superstars in company history. Born Ashley Elizabeth Flair, the daughter of the legendary Ric Flair, Charlotte has long been tied to her father's iconic legacy, but new reports suggest that early in her WWE career, she actually resisted the idea of using the Flair name as her ring identity. This shocking detail sheds light on the personal struggles and creative decisions that shaped the journey of the woman who would go on to become one of the most dominant champions in wrestling history. According to insiders, Charlotte initially wanted to forge her own path in the business without relying on her father's larger-than-life reputation. She feared that being labeled a Flair would make people think she was handed opportunities rather than earning them on her own merits. Those close to her say that Ashley dreamed of debuting under a completely different ring name to prove her worth to both herself and the fans, rather than being cast as simply Ric Flair's daughter. WWE, however, recognized the power of the Flair brand and believed that tying her directly to her father would amplify interest and give her an immediate spotlight at a time when the women's division was searching for breakout stars. The creative team reportedly insisted on using the name Charlotte Flair, a decision that Ashley initially pushed back against, but ultimately accepted as she began to see the potential benefits. Even so, she carried a chip on her shoulder, determined to show that she was more than just a famous last name. Over the years, Charlotte proved that point time and time again, winning multiple championships, headlining premium live events, and cementing herself as one of the 4 horsewomen who spearheaded the women's revolution in WWE. Yet behind all of those triumphs, this new revelation shows that her journey was not without internal conflict, as she battled the perception of favoritism and fought to stand on her own 2 feet. Wrestling veterans have chimed in on this story, with some praising Charlotte's bravery for wanting to separate from her father's shadow, while others note that embracing the Flair name ultimately elevated her into superstardom faster than most could ever dream. Fans are now debating what her career might have looked like had she debuted under a different identity. Would she still have become a record-breaking champion? Would she still have been chosen to main event WrestleMania? Or would the lack of instant recognition have slowed her rise in a crowded roster? What makes this revelation even more fascinating is how Charlotte has come full circle. While she once resisted being called Flair, she now proudly represents her family legacy, combining her father's influence with her own unique talent, charisma, and dominance. She has built a career that has made the Flair name synonymous not just with Rick, but with her as well. In many ways, she has rewritten what it means to be a Flair in WWE, proving that the next generation can live up to the legend and even carve out their own place in history. WWE's decision may have forced her into an identity she was not initially comfortable with, but Charlotte's undeniable hard work and determination ensured that the name became hers rather than something she borrowed today. Fans recognize Charlotte Flair not as Ric Flair's daughter but as one of the most accomplished female wrestlers of all time. This story of her initial resistance adds a whole new layer to her legacy, reminding everyone that greatness often comes with challenges, doubts, and the courage to push through them. Now, as Charlotte continues to build on her historic career, the wrestling world sees her not as someone who benefited from her father's shadow, but as a true trailblazer who made the Flair name even bigger than it was before.